The next day, news of me destroying the demon clan spread throughout the entire celestial realm. Even the sacred hall, known as the highest authority, became aware of this news. However, all the immortals unanimously believed it to be a rumor. They thought it was a trap set by the demon clan. Besides, the whole matter is too absurd. Let's wait for the results of the second investigation. Before long, the second investigation team has returned. Then, a man in armor kneels in the Great Hall and reporting to the Celestial Lord, the matter of the near annihilation of the Heavenly Demon Clan this morning has been confirmed. Upon hearing this, the Heavenly Lord of Radiant Brilliance immediately broke out in a cold sweat. A never-before-felt fear rushing over him. The Heavenly Lord of Radiant Brilliance couldn't believe it and confirmed once again, "Are you saying that the Heavenly Demon Clan was truly annihilated by one person? How is that possible? With just one person, they overturned the entire foundation of the Heavenly Demon Clan. Who on earth possesses such incredible power? This unheard-of event will surely shake the entire ancient continent. We must immediately investigate for more detailed information. I wonder if the newly born Demon Lord is among these unfortunate souls." However, after this calamity, the Heavenly Demon Clan has no chance of regaining their strength. This person has actually done us a great favor. Such an extraordinary individual can only be trusted if they stand on our side. At this moment, the Shrine of the Gods is radiating holy light, and the sound of sacred chants resonates with immense power. On the side of the divine path, all beings kneel, the divine realm opens, the heavenly God descends. Below the Shrine of the Gods, a gathering of God's envoys has long awaited this moment. Each one's expression is filled with awe as they respectfully welcome the arrival of the heavenly God. Suddenly, within the beam of light, a figure dressed in white appears, and one person is seated on the throne, looking down upon the crowd below with a contemptuous attitude. This is the second son of the dragon family, a member of the three great families of the heavenly God. If one can curry favor with him, then promotion to a divine status is within reach. At this moment, one of the attendants beside Long Lu waves his hand and releases a purple light. "How dare you? They are nothing but lowly servants, yet they dare to have designs on our Lord." The bodies of the two individuals who attempted to curry favor start to disintegrate. Despite being God's envoys, they have no power to resist. After dealing with those two scum, the man then points to the leading God's envoy of pure virtue. As a God's envoy who serves the heavenly God, you should show them what it means to follow the rules. In the face of such disdainful words, the dignified God's envoy of pure virtue simply acquiesced and deeply bowed her head to the ground. "As the divine God is above, may I ask for your command?" Long Lu saw that the people finally showed a hint of humility and began to explain the purpose of this visit. "I have come to recruit fighters for the preparation of the Stellar Domain Tournament. This person must be known as the strongest fighter on the continent, and they must have significant achievements in participating in major wars." The God's envoys below, under this invisible pressure, became embarrassed and disheveled. "A divine oracle has such power? My cultivation is actually rapidly declining." Then Long Lu considerately gave the people 1 day's time, and the God's envoy reluctantly agreed in fear. She knew that any trace of dissatisfaction would turn to ashes and disappear from this world in the next moment. Then the God's envoy of pure virtue cautiously inquired, "Why does it have to be someone who has participated in wars? I can find the strongest fighters, but as for the wars..." Upon hearing Pure Virtue's words, Long Lu's expression became more ferocious. "Don't you think it would be interesting to have fighters with the title of war heroes participating in the Stellar Domain Tournament? Other fighters are known as the Destroyer, the Rakshasa. How can my fighters be any less?" Hearing Long Lu's dissatisfaction, Pure Virtue felt a wave of fear enveloping her entire body and quickly apologized. According to the recent news, the Heavenly Demon Clan has almost been wiped out. Over 80% of the powerful individuals have died. It seems that a war may not be possible. Then Long Lu's cold voice suddenly sounded. "How can there be no war? Does ancient continent still have a reason to exist if it can't even fulfill my slight interest? As long as we use the space-time artifact to resurrect them, isn't that enough? Don't forget, we kept this puppet precisely because we were worried about unexpected incidents." Unaware of this, Chan Shi continued to shuttle through the woods. "Han Shi, that girl, is mischievous on regular days. I wonder if she has taken good care of Chinchanan. Now that it has come to this point, as long as I bring Chinchanan back and explain to Master, everything will develop in a positive direction." Inside the cottage, after a night of struggle, Han Shi felt that time had passed too quickly. She felt like she could fight for 3 days and 3 nights. But the sensation of power flowing through her body was amazing. She thought it was already good enough to replenish her depleted vitality, but unexpectedly, her cultivation had also improved significantly. "I didn't expect Chinchanan to be so amazing, making me stay up all night without a break." But when she think about what she have to face next, Han Shi, who was originally eager and excited, suddenly stopped. the heavenly demon clan was wiped out by you, leaving me wondering where my future lies. Even though they never looked at me with respect and used me as part of their plan, treating me as a pawn, just because I was sent to the immortal realm when I was a child, they didn't care about my life or death. Come to think of it, since I was 9 years old, they made me steal secret techniques from the divine clan, almost leading to my execution. And when I was 10 years old, they made me instigate internal conflicts within the other 2 tribes, each time bringing me to the brink of death. It seems that nothing good ever happened to me. Now that they are all dead, I'm relieved to some extent. Then Hanshi fell into my arms again. Now I am finally free. Can we elope together? Just you and me. We can go anywhere. As Hanshi was fantasizing, there was a sudden urgent knocking at the door. Chang-Shi, with an anxious expression, called out to Hanshi inside the room. "Junior sister, open the door quickly. I have something to tell you." Upon hearing the familiar voice, Hanshi's heart tightened. What should I do now? Long Lu's mocking voice echoed in everyone's ears. Since the space-time artifact has chosen Chang-Shi, it is destined that he will be a plaything of the heavenly god, the puppet that keeps the cycle of war running. I remember that the artifact has 3 stages. The first resurrection has a limit of 5 seconds, and each subsequent resurrection accumulates gradually. Long Lu, who was manipulating his fingers, quickly grew tired of counting and laughed loudly towards the mirror, saying, "As long as I find her and kill her, after she has died thousands of times, it will trigger the 3rd stage of temporal reversal." Hearing Long Lu's perfect laughter, Pure Virtue's eyes flashed with deep fear, and she lowered her head deeply. If all the demons are resurrected, I'm afraid the divine power won't be able to sustain it. Using the puppet body at such high intensity might cause it to be destroyed. The next moment, a powerful pressure swept over the crowd. "Do you think I care about the life and death of a mere star domain?" Heavenly God replied. "Do what you can, and if you can't, then get lost. I don't need one more servant planet like you." Hearing Heavenly God's response, Pure Virtue quickly begged for mercy. "Heavenly God, please calm down. I'm not questioning you." Long Lu, impatiently, interrupted directly. "If you want to live, fulfill my demands. Otherwise, my precious pet in the heavens will have a feast." Upon hearing the word pet, a deep fear flashed in everyone's hearts. Even that terrifying creature has come. It's not something we can contend with. If we let it attack Ancient Continent, it won't even bother attacking us. Ancient Continent is merely a snack in that creature's eyes. By then, no one will survive in the monster's mouth. Pure Virtue trembled uncontrollably at the thought. But soon, Long Lu interrupted Pure Virtue's thoughts with a snap of his fingers. "Find me the fighter I want and then put that person into this coffin. The coffin will capture his soul and everything about him. It can manipulate its own existence. In the end, a loyal dog obedient only to me will be born from this coffin. After all, not every dog is loyal to me. Think carefully about how to do it, how to serve me. I'll only stay here for 1 day." Upon hearing Long Lu's final declaration, Pure Virtue fearfully agreed to the matter. Looking at Pure Virtue's appearance, Long Lu's eyes were filled with disdain. "I played around too much before and forgot to collect fighters. Now I can pass this task to them and have a reason to shirk responsibility." Afterwards, Long Lu headed towards the continent in the distance. This trip happens to be a good opportunity to find a few fairy slaves to vent my anger. Upon hearing Long Lu's words, the guards behind him congratulated him one after another. "Master is merciful." After Long Lu left, Pure Virtue unexpectedly coldly told the people behind him, "Chang-Shi will bring Chinchanan back. Do you know what to do?" On the other side, Chang-Shi kept knocking on the small hut where Hanshi was hiding. Seeing that Hanshi refused to open the door, Chang-Shi became extremely anxious. "Junior sister, open the door. What are you doing inside?" I heard strange sounds coming from inside. Inside the hut, Hanshi covered her mouth tightly upon hearing this. "She must be here to take Chinchanan away. As long as I stay quiet, she will naturally leave first." Then, with a resentful look, she glanced at me, who was still asleep. "Damn stinky man. It's like attracting bees and butterflies." And I remember that Chang-Shi seems to like Chinchanan too. Thinking of this, Hanshi snorted coldly and quietly observed Chang-Shi's actions through the crack in the door. Just as Chang-Shi turned around to leave, she suddenly turned back and shouted into the house, "I found the woman who had an affair with Chinchanan before. How should we deal with her?" The next moment, the previously tightly closed door was kicked open by Hanshi. "Where's that bitch?" However, the only one in sight was Chang-Shi. "Why are you, the mighty heavenly demon, so concerned about someone else's love life?" Even the foolish Hanshi realized she had been deceived. Chang-Shi, standing aside, casually said, "What were you doing in the room? I've already taken care of everything for Master. I came here now." Before Chang-Shi could finish her sentence, the heavy sound of the door being shut interrupted her. She realized she was being shut out again, and her expression turned gloomy. "You stupid girl, you're doomed." After closing the door, Hanshi grabbed my pants and rushed towards me, shouting outside the house, "You want to take Chinchanan away? Don't joke around." I finally have someone to accompany me. Why should I give him to you? Chinchanan can't help you. Just go and accept your punishment. Anyway, you have the artifact, so you're not afraid. As long as you don't die, I'll come back to see you every year on this day. However, despite Hanshi's attempts, she still couldn't put my pants on me. Just as Hanshi was about to open her eyes, she suddenly realized that I had already woken up at some point and was looking at her with surprise. After reacting, my brain instantly short-circuited. Hanshi, what are you doing? Before I could continue speaking, Hanshi covered my mouth. Don't make a sound. Feeling the softness of Hanshi's body, I whispered to her, you seem quite skilled in sitting on me. How about another round for me to experience? Upon hearing my shameless words, Hanshi instantly panicked. You pervert, get up quickly and leave with me. Once we settle in a new place, you'll still have to listen to me. I have the final say in how many times we do it, understand? But Hanshi, unusually flustered, seemed to be worried if I had been pretending to sleep all along. I smiled and asked her, aren't you curious about who I am? Yet, you're willing to elope with me like this? Hanshi chuckled and replied, not curious at all. You're my servant, always have been. Hearing her response, I turned my head towards her and said, just at this moment, the system suddenly popped up. Host, I'm doing this for the first time, automatically tracking the clone's actions and reporting them in real time. Where did you come up with this idea? I replied somewhat absent-mindedly. It came to me in my mind. Hanshi, who was activating the teleportation array next to me, heard what I said and asked, what's wrong with your mind? I ignored her and instead walked towards the door. Little system, we're capable of anything. Whatever I can think of, we can do it. Then, in the dumbfounded expressions of the two women, I forcefully opened the tightly closed door. The clone itself is a product of the system, and the two are inherently connected, sharing information. By utilizing this, I can use the system to observe the world on my behalf, conveniently avoiding major disturbances to history. Moreover, it allows me to intervene at the right moment, much better than blindly stumbling around like a headless fly. After hearing this, the system remained silent for a moment before saying to me, returning in this form is not impressive enough, not handsome enough. Looking at the two women in a mess, I replied, system, do I have to wait until everyone is on the verge of death before making an appearance? I don't think that's the most heroic way to save the day. After all, that's what happens in fantasy dramas and superhero stories. But I'm not one. Then, scenes from the past flashed through my mind. Since I am invincible, why should I let tragic events happen again? Then I grabbed hold of the system's panel and said, don't just sit back and watch. Shake up your backstage. There must be a random mission at a time like this. Sensing the threat of death, the system quickly agreed, confirming the presence of a mission. Prompt after prompt popped up, guiding me to help the goddess Changshi resolve her fated dilemma and obtain the artifacts, with a reward of 500 million domain value and 2 time roll cards. Furthermore, by successfully completing a special mission and becoming the ruler of the ancient continent planet, I would receive a reward of 1 billion domain value and unlock the new system function, Star Realm Leap. Upon hearing the system's introduction, I quickly planned my approach. To save Jiang Xianchu, I needed the artifacts, and to obtain the artifacts, I had to resolve Changshi's predicament. The final task was to become the master of the ancient continent. Considering the events of the past few days and the future situation, I had already guessed the ins and outs of the situation. With one more day remaining, it would be enough. The two women behind me stopped their playfulness upon hearing my words, and their mouths repeated my words incessantly. I realized that I had accidentally revealed too much. I smiled at them and said, "Are you planning to return to the immortal realm? How about taking me along as well?" While the two women in front of me suspected each other, vying for my innocence, I remained calm. The system informed me that I had gained trillions of domain value while I was asleep. Seeing the world filled with system pop-ups, I couldn't help but be amazed. Just how many people did this girl kill while I was asleep? But soon, I laughed happily. Hanging out like this is really enjoyable. Is this the taste of freeloading? Then, I began to organize in my mind the events that had taken place during this time. The system reported to me all the information, including the near annihilation of the Heavenly Demon Clan while Hanshi fought using my body. According to logic, the future Heavenly Demon Clan should not reappear. But in my current time and space, when I see the increasing quantity of Heavenly Demon instead of decreasing, I immediately understood that someone had resurrected them during this time, and the only one capable of doing this was Changshi's temporal artifact, the triggering of the third phase. Even eliminating the Heavenly Demon Clan won't resolve Changshi's predicament. There must be a higher entity controlling everything. He advocates killing Changshi in an attempt to resurrect the Heavenly Demon Clan. Based on the current information, this is the temporary analysis. However, if we don't quickly figure out who is behind all this mischief, it could lead to many complications and hinder our actions. We might end up being helpless. While I was contemplating, a blue light beam appeared in the sky. In an instant, the attack passed by me and headed straight for Changxi. But when Changxi realized what was happening, the blue blade was already close to her head. Seeing this, I remained calm and beckoned with my finger. With a swish, a golden light beam instantly deflected the blade and transformed into a barrier in front of Changxi, shielding her from harm. Hanxi, witnessing her sister being attacked, swiftly protected Changxi by her side. Whoever is secretly attacking must show themselves. Changxi, who had recovered her senses, murmured softly, "Chinchanan, luckily you're here." At that moment, dark shadows emerged from both sides of the gorge, their faces filled with hostility. We found them. After briefly glancing at those insignificant pests, I ignored them. They were nothing more than insignificant bugs that couldn't cause any trouble. It seemed like they heard my mockery, and more shadows surrounded us from all directions. Seeing so many pests gathering here, I knew that things were developing in the direction I had analyzed. They must all be here for Changxi. Shortly after, a majestic voice echoed in the valley. Heavenly God has issued a command. All forces in ancient continent must join forces to eliminate the criminals. It concerns the survival of ancient continent. Goddess Changxi must die. Irrelevant ants, leave immediately. Following that, a shadow swiftly appeared in the center of the battlefield and unleashed a blazing yellow flame towards Changxi's location. In an instant, the flame engulfed an area of 100 meters around it. Witnessing this scene, the shadow burst into excited laughter. I succeeded. I got the first kill on the goddess. However, when he saw me safely bringing Changxi out of the flames, he couldn't believe it and cursed in disbelief. "You actually managed to dodge it. It was quite an impactful strike just now." Then, an angry voice resounded from within the flames. "You bastard, Chinchanan, what kind of suffering have I endured?" Hanxi came to my side and angrily berated me. "Scumbag, you heartless jerk, you saved the wrong person. Once you're done playing, you just abandon everything, right? You ungrateful scumbag." Faced with her accusation, I disdainfully picked my nose and stated the facts. "You could have easily avoided it just now." Upon hearing my response, Hanxi's face turned frosty. "You straight guy, I deliberately let him hit me. I didn't expect you, Chinchanan, to be so fawning over Changxi in front of me. Are you planning to betray me behind my back?" The flying pests in the air, upon witnessing our bickering, erupted in anger, feeling the bitterness of being single. "You damn lot, even at the brink of death, you still have the audacity to flirt here. Soon, everyone, take aim and give that woman a harsh beating." Heavenly God said that only when the artifact on her activates the third phase. Just as I was about to have a heart-to-heart with a few pests, Changxi reassured me, "Don't move. I need to figure out what's going on first." Soon after, one by one, the black-robed god's envoys emerged. "Surrender peacefully, and if you have an ounce of mercy in your heart, don't resist," they said. Upon hearing this, Changxi became furious and exclaimed, "Are you saying you want to resurrect the heavenly demon clan? Have you all gone mad? Do you know what that means?" The leader of the god's envoys coldly replied, "War may be dreadful, but it is still better than the despair of a destroyed planet. Only by your death can we survive. Although we have received the favor of the goddess, since you are the goddess, help us once again." Changxi looked at the individuals before her in astonishment and cried out, "You are from the spirit realm and the Beastman clan." The two recognized individuals apologized, saying, "Don't blame us. It's Heavenly God who wants you dead, and we have no choice. Heavenly God wants to witness a battle between immortals and demons for entertainment. If we don't satisfy him, the monsters in the star domain will devour us. This matter has spread throughout the entire ancient continent. Even if we don't kill you, there will be other clans and powerful beings coming to avenge you. Goddess, you cannot contend against the entire world." In order to make Changxi aware of her situation, the god's envoy flipped his palm and summoned a skull. "Even your master, as Heavenly God's executioner, cannot save you this time," he said. Upon seeing the familiar and shocking face, it felt as if Changxi's heart had been struck by lightning. Just an hour ago, Pure Virtue, in order to save his beloved disciple, reached out to his friends from other immortal realms to see if there was any way to escape this calamity. However, on the other end, they refused, saying that no one had been able to successfully rescue someone from Heavenly God's grasp since countless eras ago. The only thing they could do was defend for themselves. However, Pure Virtue did not give up and continued to plead, "Dear friends, I have traveled the starry seas for many years and have had the privilege of meeting and assisting all of you. I do not ask for your immediate intervention. I only hope that you can provide Pure Virtue with more methods and help me save my disciple." But the figure could only sigh helplessly. "Pure Virtue, I can grant you anything except defying Heavenly God. We truly have no power in that matter. The neighboring Doling continent recently offended other heavenly gods and was annihilated. Not even a trace left. I advise you to give up on that goddess. Heavenly God's plan is already in motion. She is destined to die. Pure Virtue's eyes became unfocused upon hearing this, and he recalled the words he had once said to Changxi many years ago. The greater a person's abilities, the greater their responsibilities. It's a pity that Master has done many wrong things and will never have the chance to become the people's beloved. However, at that time, Changxi responded with words that surprised Pure Virtue. Don't we still have me? I will protect everyone and inherit Master's wish. Thinking of this, Pure Virtue's gaze became resolute, and she let go of the communication jade tablet in her hand. Dear friends, let us part ways here. However, a voice of urgency came from the jade tablet behind her. Don't do something foolish. Yet, Pure Virtue ignored it and silently vowed in his heart, Changxi, I will definitely save you. Meanwhile, billions of light years away, a man in a black robe quietly watched the ancient continent surrounded by demons. Pure Virtue has severed contact. I suspect she's about to do something foolish. Ancient continent may not last much longer. Let us witness this final spark together. In different timelines, several shadows bowed in the direction of the ancient continent. Respect to our friend. On the other side, when Pure Virtue and the gods' envoys emerged from the teleportation array, the crowd asked in unison, what is the purpose of this gathering? Pure Virtue then pointed to the depths of space on the other side of the teleportation array. Fellow immortals, please look. In the vast sea of stars, there is a small planet that Heavenly God has never discovered. It is called the Nine-State Continent. After multiple on-site investigations, I can confirm that the spiritual energy here is abundant. The surrounding starry seas have crystalline rocks that can block the probing of divine power. For many years, this place has been ownerless, a haven that can escape Heavenly God's search and not become a slave planet. It is a good destination. Upon hearing this, everyone's hearts shook. Pure Virtue, God's envoy, are you planning to migrate? Pure Virtue, the God's envoy, nodded in agreement. Now our lives are at the mercy of the unpredictable Heavenly God. If we continue like this, one day we will be eliminated for losing our usefulness. So before we migrate, we must seize the opportunity when he is unprepared. A crimson killing intent erupted in Pure Virtue's eyes. Kill him. Upon hearing this, fear appeared on the faces of the others, as if they had heard a tremendous joke. God's envoy, this is no joking matter. If we fail, it won't be as simple as life or death. Deicide is a supreme crime. Even if we succeed, where do we go from there? After hearing this, Pure Virtue smashed his fist into his chest. Everyone, there must be people who are unwilling to be slaves. Only then can our descendants have a chance to live without the terror of domination. If we never take action in our lifetime, the future for your children and families will be even more miserable. Are bowing, tribute, and groveling not enough? Yet look at the situation we are in now. The words of Pure Virtue moved the others, and they were willing to embark on the path of hope. Deicide, we are willing to join you. Changxi, Master will protect you. As if sensing this distant hope, Changxi found tears streaming down her face. However, the God's envoy responded coldly, do you think Heavenly God can be shaken by ants like you? The two of them saw their master's decapitated head, and their voices choked up. But the God's envoy looked at the head beside him with disdain on his face. Well, it seems the assassination plan was exposed early. It didn't harm our beloved Heavenly God. Otherwise, this piece of crap wouldn't have lost just its head so easily. The divine generals behind them burst into laughter. I've been annoyed by this woman for a long time. Not only did she dare to plot the assassination of Lord Heavenly God, but she also dared to stop us from waging war against the goddess. This idiot deserved to die. If Heavenly God had any mishap and those monsters in the sky found out, they would never spare ancient continent. Offending Heavenly God would mean death, not just for those in the Domain Lord realm, but also in the Domain God realm. No exceptions. And also, this woman blamed herself before she died, apologizing. I guess she was begging for forgiveness from Heavenly God. But how could Heavenly God spare that foolish woman? I really want to know what she was thinking at that moment. Then, the God's envoy forcefully threw the head in his hand into the air, his eyes flashing with a hint of fierce red light. The fate of sinners is to completely disappear. Sensing the violet aura emanating from the God's envoy, Changxi and the other woman hurriedly rushed forward, shouting at him to stop. Just then, a dark purple light suddenly appeared above them. Feeling the oppressive force, a flicker of fear crossed the God's envoy's eyes. Immediately, he shouted anxiously to his companions, "Get out of the way." The next moment, the violent power swept everyone into it. Just then, I landed steadily behind Changxi and the other woman, catching the lifeless head in my hand. A sense of empathy surged in my heart as I looked at the head. In the next moment, Changxi rushed towards me and held her master's head in her arms. Unable to stop sobbing, your master sacrificed herself to save the world, even in death. Her lingering soul deserves eternal respect, and we will never allow the profanity of the wicked. Changxi, in the current chaotic and unpredictable ancient continent, the principles of heaven and morality no longer hold. Given your compassionate nature, it's inevitable that you will be swayed by them, sacrificing yourself for this so-called peace. Make a choice now, fight or hide. Hearing my words, Chang-Chi, with a cold gaze, shouted in anger, everyone is wrong. Even if the planet is destroyed, I won't let Heavenly God succeed. Then, the system's voice suddenly rang out, stating that Chang-Chi's dire situation had changed and progressed by 50%. And upon hearing her response, I couldn't help but smile. It's going to be a battle. Then I said to Han-Chi, set up a teleportation array immediately. The more precise the location, the better. Han-Chi was momentarily puzzled and asked, now? But she quickly realized and said, preparing the formation will take a long time. They won't give us a chance. The onlookers who overheard our conversation mistakenly thought we were planning to escape, and they all charged towards us as if they had been injected with chicken blood. At the same time, they shouted to their colleagues, don't let them escape. Attack together. In the next second, I flashed in front of one of them and punched his head into the ground. Then, with a cold gaze, I scanned everyone in the field. Escape? Impossible. I'm going to slaughter that Heavenly God. After I uttered those words, the entire battlefield seemed to freeze. His words reverberated heavily in everyone's hearts. He said he's going to slaughter Heavenly God. Upon hearing my arrogant statement, the crowd showed mocking expressions and burst into laughter. Just the three of you? It's truly laughable. In the tens of millions of years, you're the first to dare utter such words. Han-Chi, who was nearby, was greatly shaken. Even the former strongest heavenly demon Tushar couldn't accomplish it. Although it was an irrational statement, it happened to buy me some time. Following that, as the envoy of Heavenly God in the mortal realm, I absolutely won't allow any threats to Heavenly God's safety, even if you insects buzz around Heavenly God's ears. At that moment, the miscellaneous fishes activated their strongest techniques and launched attacks towards the field. Seeing the overwhelming barrage of attacks, Han-Chi's heart trembled. Chinchanan, you must hold on. However, I paid no attention to it. I raised my arm high, and in an instant, the attacks vanished into the purple vortex I summoned. Upon seeing this scene, the miscellaneous fishes exclaimed in disbelief. How is this possible? How can all the celestial techniques be completely nullified? Then I gathered all the energy in my hand, and a cold voice echoed in the valley. Today, not a single person will leave here alive. After saying that, I detonated the accumulated energy in my hand. In an instant, the entire valley was dominated by the massive energy sphere. God's envoy trembled in fear. This power, it's impossible. Who exactly are you? I observed him before, and he didn't possess this level of strength. Seeing the desperate expressions on the group of immortals, a laughter escaped my lips. You wanted a battle between immortals and demons, right? Well, here I am, killing all of you. Upon hearing my words, God's envoy erupted in a desperate scream. Don't let that energy sphere fall, or we'll all die. Upon hearing God's envoy's warning, the miscellaneous fishes no longer dared to hold back. They erupted with even greater power at the cost of burning their own lives. Watching them go crazy, I remained in place, showing no intention of making any moves. Just as the blades were about to reach us, I suddenly opened my eyes and swung my hand forward. A surge of scorching energy swept through everyone in the field. However, some of the trapped fish managed to escape this disaster. A knife swung towards the back of my head, but sensing the presence behind me, I swung my hand backwards. It seems like there's a fly buzzing around, isn't there? In an instant, that figure was cut in half, and even the small mountain behind him turned into dark clouds at that moment. Witnessing the scene of corpses strewn about in front of me, the surviving God's envoy was filled with fear. No, this attack shouldn't be like this. We need a war of attrition. A strong assault won't work. We need to maneuver. We need tactics. We must. But before he could finish speaking, I controlled the giant energy sphere to descend slowly. Seeing this, they couldn't help but curse under their breath. Beasts, that sphere doesn't give us any chance. He has already blocked our variables early on. Then, I beckoned with my finger towards those ants who were still alive. Who's next? Immediately, a man wearing a scarf summoned countless millions of green fireflies. As those fireflies continued to gather together, they eventually transformed into a green millipede tens of thousands of meters long. Seeing this, Chang-Chi nervously shouted to me, "This is the deceptive art of the burrow-dwelling tribe, the illusion bug technique." Before I could respond, the creature quickly opened its large mouth and swallowed me whole. At that moment, the miscellaneous fishes in the field revealed expressions of triumph. Heavenly demon, taste the sensation of losing your cultivation with the 1,000-foot bone piercer. This move can even suppress that demon Tushar, let alone you. The next moment, the giant creature suddenly became restless, and then its head exploded like a firework. Following that, I gracefully descended with elegant steps. The immortals who summoned the giant creature were instantly dumbfounded. They could only hold me for less than 2 seconds. Afterward, I patted off the remnants on my body. It's just an itch. No big deal, blame that disgusting thing. Then I revealed a wicked smile. This unique technique is quite interesting. I'll accept it from now on. As I spoke, I resurrected the creature and grabbed hold of it, throwing it towards the group of miscellaneous fishes. A cacophony of miserable sounds filled the air. At the same time, the sound of domain value being credited echoed in my ears. This despairing sound mixed with the system's prompts truly is the most beautiful melody in this world. Faced with an unbeatable enemy, even the gods' envoys who usually held high positions chose to submit. Spare us from the fight, we just want to survive. Heavenly God is too powerful. No one has ever been able to kill Heavenly God. Everything we have done was out of desperation. Please forgive us. Watching them reveal their ugly nature, my eyes were filled with contempt and disdain. So you're innocent, huh? They mistakenly believe that they have gained my trust. The leading god's envoy was full of excitement and summoned a green light. This is the 9-state continent that pure virtue god's envoy found. I hit it when the gods executed pure virtue. We can cooperate. And to prove what he said is true, he quickly turned to Changshi beside him and said, "You also want to fulfill your master's wish, don't you?" Just at that moment, a sinister smile appeared on the face of the god's envoy. Fell for it. Then he poured all his power into the energy sphere. "Open for me." The next moment, concentric circles of green light appeared beneath our feet, forming a magical array. Then the god's envoy pointed in our direction and shouted, "Seal him in the 9-state, along with that world, as an offering to our great God. The gods will see our loyalty. We are betting our lifelong cultivation on this divine slaying formation." Seeing the green tentacles entwining around us, I cooperatively pretended to look helpless, showing them my powerless appearance. Just as I was about to be consumed by those tentacles, a smirk appeared on my lips. "You guys really know how to act like dogs. I never said I would spare you." With these words, I revealed the oppressive aura of the Demon King. What can this flimsy seal actually seal? In an instant, their proud sealing formation shattered into pieces. Everyone was heavily injured under this terrifying pressure. The god's envoy looked at his dead colleagues behind him, his heart turning to ashes. Impossible! The formation that even Domain God couldn't resist. Why did it break with one strike? Then, I approached and picked up what he called the 9-state. This thing is not the 9-state at all. It's more like a navigator to get there. In other words, the heavenly god you mentioned knows about the existence of the 9-state. The god's envoy looked at my devilishly cold expression, filled with despair. "Please spare me. Pure virtue was killed by heavenly god. Everything we did was under his instruction." Upon hearing his deceptive words, I directly interrupted him. "But how are your actions any different from his? The future of the world doesn't need you. You will be the first to go to hell and report to him. I will personally break his bones and send him on his way." The moment my words fell, the unstable energy ball in the air began to rapidly descend. Finally, the surviving small fry quickly fled into the distance, seeking their last chance of survival. Words of remorse and begging for mercy echoed around the battlefield. "Please, I am willing to submit and surrender. Spare us." Changshi, who was beside me, felt the suffocating energy and shouted in worry, "Chinchanan." The next moment, I appeared beside them. "Are you ready? We're about to depart." Upon hearing my voice, Hanshi finally snapped back to reality. I accidentally lost focus and got distracted. "The formation can only accommodate 2 people now. Give me 5 minutes." "No, just 1 minute is enough. And you looked so cool when you sent that old lady flying. It would be even better if you threw a few more punches at her." I'm speechless about her actions. Is she really the future queen? Immediately, I moved next to Changshi and lifted her up. "We don't have time." Seeing me taking Changshi away without even asking, Hanshi shouted anxiously at the teleportation array. "What am I supposed to do if you leave like this?" As the shrinking teleportation array came into view, Hanshi was filled with despair. "I can't get in. It's over. This damn dog of a man." In the face of crisis, he only thinks about Changshi. I've given my sincere heart to the dogs. As the approaching energy drew near, Hanshi lowered her head as if resigned to her fate. "You don't even look back at me. Forget it. I've already slept with him anyway. It's worth it." Just as she was preparing to face her death, she suddenly felt a reliable arm behind her. Then she saw me smiling at her. "How could I abandon you?" Changshi, who finally realized what was happening, shouted, "Why did you come back?" But I ignored her and threw her into the teleportation array. As she was still speaking, I made a funny face and warned her not to act rashly and to wait for me obediently. Then I turned around and walked straight towards the glowing ball of light. Changshi and Hanshi jumped out of the teleportation array and immediately looked towards the previous location. They saw a massive purple ball of light appearing thousands of miles away. In the next moment, the blinding light illuminated the entire world, and the terrifying energy engulfed the entire heavenly demon continent. Seeing this apocalyptic scene, a chill ran down Changshi's spine. This is his true power. He might really become the person who can change this planet. Hanshi, who regained her composure, asked Chang-Shi, "What do we do now?" Anxiously, Chang-Shi replied, "As long as the war doesn't start, Heavenly God won't stop. The people of the entire world will consider us enemies. We have no way to retreat. If we continue fighting, we might end up harming Chinchanan. We can only find an opportunity to go to the 9-state continent. Perhaps there's still a chance to salvage this situation." On the other side, I looked at the bottomless pit in front of me and said to myself, "It's time to chase after them." After dusting myself off, I sensed their presence is over here. Then I forcefully stepped forward and found that the teleportation array was quite effective. However, this distance would likely take some time. In an instant, I flew thousands of miles away. Just as I took off, several dark auras suddenly appeared behind me and closely followed. Seeing this, I stopped in my tracks and coldly looked back. What is this? I saw those dark shadows quickly flying towards me. I shouldn't die. I shouldn't die like this. It's unfair. Faced with this unexpected situation, a blazing surge of heat gathers in my hand. These lingering spirits are seeking death. I'm running out of time. In the next moment, I realized something was wrong. These lingering spirits are not the ones I had eliminated. I saw a vengeful spirit dressed in coarse hemp clothes shouting at me, "Mighty heavenly demon god, please save us. We are the people who have lived for generations in the ancient continent. It was because of your battle that we were able to escape from that abyssal purgatory. In our lives, we once fought under the instructions of the heavenly god until our bodies turned to dust, but our souls remained bound to the earth. However, this god never extended a helping hand to us. He continuously extracted the essence of our souls to maintain his control over world. Many of our compatriots have already disappeared. Please, you must save us." Hearing their story, I felt regret in my heart. Chang-Shi's master didn't make a mistake. The consequence of unlimited obedience is being exploited until there's nothing left. If she doesn't take a stand, there will be no voice of resistance. Then I assured them, "I will go and kill the god you mentioned. I still have 2 friends over there." The vengeful spirit had a dumbfounded expression upon hearing this. He couldn't believe how lightly and casually I spoke of killing a god. Just as I turned to leave, the man suddenly called out to me and pointed in the direction I came from, saying, "The shrine where the god resides is in the opposite direction. You're going the wrong way." Hearing this, I couldn't help but sigh at Hanshi's incompetence. One day, I'll surely be deceived by this woman. On the other side, Heavenly Lord of Zealous Clarity, leading a group of people carrying a red coffin, knelt before Heavenly God. They said, "We have found the strongest heavenly demon." Long Lu, with a grim expression, suddenly erupted with a terrifying pressure. "What I want is a battle between immortals and demons. What about the goddess? They are just deceiving me here." One by one, feeling the wrath of Heavenly God, Heavenly Lord of Zealous Clarity gathered the courage to explain. The team sent to capture the goddess has been completely wiped out. There is a formidable heavenly demon protecting her. The final message we received was that he intends to kill you. Upon hearing these audacious words, Long Lu burst into unrestrained laughter, as if he had heard an amusing joke. "Kill me? A lowly creature wants to kill me? You are nothing but insects on this planet, not even worthy of being pets. Pay him no mind. His fate will be the same as Pure Virtue's fate. Heavenly God, your wisdom is unmatched. We have turned the realm discovered by Pure Virtue into a divine slaying formation. We will seal the target there and bring them back to offer to you." Long Lu, filled with disdain, responded, "A mere pocket realm, a barren land lacking in spiritual power. It's not even enough to amuse my pet. What use is it to him? But you remind me that there may be other insects like Pure Virtue causing trouble, ignorant of their own insignificance. Today, I will sever the aspirations of this group of insects." Suddenly, the giant monster responded, releasing a burst of energy that sealed off the entire ancient continent. Perceiving that the ancient continent is within grasp, like a possession in hand, Long Lu laughed excitedly. "Everyone in the ancient continent is my toy. They cannot escape, cannot run. If they want to leave, let them try. I will capture them all without leaving a single one." Outside the ancient continent, Pure Virtue's friends watched the surrounded planet with deep concern. This is the locking domain formation. The ancient continent has been completely sealed off. Pure Virtue has ultimately failed, they whispered. The other 2 individuals remained indifferent, as they had long anticipated this outcome. Although I had hoped for a miracle, Pure Virtue is the most powerful and outstanding God's envoy in history. Yet, destruction remains the final fate of this planet. The man shrouded in a black robe crossed his hands in front of his chest. "As friends, let us send her off on her final journey." On the other side, I looked up at the sky in surprise. The nearby spirits saw my puzzled expression and began to explain. "This is the god's declaration of sovereignty over the planet. No one can interfere with what happens here. Once this formation is activated, no one, not even immortals, can leave this continent. They will be trapped in this hell for eternity." Hearing their words of despair, I had no intention of paying attention. If we can't leave, then how did the crazy old man go to the ninth state? I thought to myself, wait, he mentioned that this ceiling formation didn't exist at that time. It must have changed along with Changshi's fate correction. I then grabbed the leader among them and asked, where's the shrine of the gods that you mentioned? Sensing my killing intent, the man stuttered in his response, it's in the heavens to the west, the highest place. Hearing this, I casually tossed him aside and stomped my foot, soaring into the endless void at a speed surpassing the speed of light. It was at that moment I understood everything. It seemed that only by dealing with the god who created the seal could the seal in the sky be resolved. After all, if no one went to the ninth state, the future would be completely altered. That stubborn girl, Hanshi, chose the opposite direction, probably prepared to escape. It would be even more dangerous to follow me into battle. After I left, the young spirits looked helpless. Who would have thought that one day we would have to rely on the evil heavenly demon to save us? One of them remarked. The old man angrily retorted, what else can he do? Do you want our descendants to experience the same despair as us? We have been waiting for this day. As long as he can save everyone, even if it's a heavenly demon, we are willing to bow down. In the dense forest, Changshi gazed at the barrier in the sky, feeling a sense of powerlessness. The gods have sealed the star domain. Can we still go to the ninth state? She wondered. Hanshi interrupted Changshi and said, none of that matters anymore. Let's find another place to hide. Chinchanan said he wants to kill the gods. Those snitches in the immortal realm will definitely report to the gods. I initially wanted to take him with us to lay low and deal with him later. Then, grabbing Changshi, who was still in a daze, they ran in the opposite direction. Since he worked so hard to get us out, let's not go and get ourselves killed. On the shrine of the gods, a wave of ominous green aura erupted, and a powerful pressure spread indiscriminately in all directions. However, Long Lu's face was full of disdain as he looked around with a contemptuous gaze. The immortal army in the arena was terrified, unconsciously retreating backward. Then, the demon lord, Tushur, broke the coffin. Tushur stood up from inside and turned to look in Long Lu's direction. The onlookers noticed something unusual and shouted nervously, quick, protect Heavenly God. However, Heavenly Lord of Zealous Clarity was frozen in fear and couldn't move. This terrifying power belonged to Tushur during his peak. In the next moment, Tushur knelt before Long Lu, loudly proclaiming, Servant Tushur pays respects to the master. Seeing the reactions of the crowd, Long Lu smiled with satisfaction. Not bad, not bad. From now on, you are my servant, my warrior. Upon hearing Long Lu's praise, Tushur immediately vowed to serve his master faithfully, stating that he already knew what his master desired and had a plan to fulfill it. Long Lu's mouth showed signs of mockery after hearing it, responded, it seems you already have a plan. Go ahead and do it. I've got your back. Tushur, who received Long Lu's promise, had a triumphant glint in his eyes. That insolent fellow who offended your dignity, I will make him endure the hatred and curse of the world. I will make him the target of everyone's arrows. I will tear him apart 1,000 times, feast on his flesh, and drink his blood. Then, looking coldly at the immortal beings who had once been enemies, he said, move out. Upon receiving Long Lu's permission, the demon lord Tushur's first action was to spread fear throughout the entire ancient continent, awakening the terror that heavenly demons had crushed mountains and rivers thousands of years ago. In Sui Ming country, the people watched in panic as teleportation gates suddenly appeared in the sky. What is this? Is doomsday upon us? The once arrogant lord of Sui Ming country trembled in the palace. Then, blue light bodies emerged from the high-altitude portals, the demonic army created by demon lord Tushur. The curtain of endless slaughter was now drawn. In the mortal realm, at the 100 Flowers sect, the same teleportation array is also found everywhere here. The sect leader loudly commanded, defend with me. Do not let any heavenly demon cross the mountain gate. Today, we will avenge our fallen comrades. In the next moment, a monster opened its mouth and bit towards the sect leader's head. As a spine-chilling chewing sound rang out, the people recovered from their fear. Sect leader? Scenes like this played out in every corner of the world. 99% of humanity had become food for the demons. It was an unequal massacre. On the other side, Changshi rescued a child from the demon's mouth. Helpless, Changshi shouted, weren't the heavenly demons already dead? Hanshi looked at the endless horde of demons in despair. Clearly, I couldn't have initiated such a war. Changshi quickly noticed something amiss. Where are the immortals? Where are the guardians of the mortal realm? Why can the heavenly demon clan easily appear in the mortal realm without a single immortal showing up? Meanwhile, people around the world desperately prayed for protection from their deities, but the gods remained silent. Hatred and rage spread wildly on this blood-soaked land. Seeing this scene resembling a human purgatory, Long Lu, who usually didn't show much emotion, burst into laughter. Well done, Well done, this is exactly the effect I wanted. If we want to create heroes, the suffering of the masses is essential, and it needs to be even more exaggerated, making them crave our salvation even more. However, the immortal beings, who had always been dedicated to upholding justice and protecting life, remained indifferent, standing in formation and watching demons ravage the mortal realm, bringing calamity to the people. Even if their own family members and relatives were in the mortal realm, they showed no concern. The demon lord looked at the scene beneath him and laughed recklessly. The demonic soldiers looked more excited as they watched the pleading of the people. Praise the demon lord, praise Chinchanan. We obey your orders to slaughter the mortal realm. We will indulge in this moment. Chinchanan, did you see that? We can do even better. You are our king, and we will follow you forever. Chinchanan. Feng Chiyun, listening behind the screen, tightened his nerves. Jiang Ningran furrowed her eyebrows, utilizing his demonic subordinates to massacre the mortal realm and then shifting the blame onto another heavenly demon, all to propel himself onto the stage and change his identity. The immortal beings on Shrine of the Gods looked coldly at the scenes displayed on the disc. Heavenly Lord of Zealous Clarity couldn't help but speak when he saw the horrifying sight of this human purgatory. Can we intervene now? Tushur responded disdainfully, you immortals lack foresight. What's there to lament about the insignificant mortals? Let's appear as saviors when they are at their most desperate, showcasing our divinity. Besides, Chinchanan hasn't appeared in the mortal realm yet. This grand spectacle of slaughter carried out in his name cannot be stopped. In the mortal realm, Hanshi heard a terrifying rumor from fleeing refugees. All of this chaos is under the command of Chinchanan. It's all nonsense. How cunning. The world doesn't know that these heavenly demons are actually the demonic army of Tushur. Unable to obtain divine artifacts, they resorted to such despicable means to start a war. These guys are all pawns. It seems their goal is to force Chinchanan to come out and face another multi-sided siege. After understanding the truth of this matter, Hanshi looked fiercely at the sky. Damn bastard, how dare you slander my man? This situation is too complicated to explain with words. Chinchanan is my man. However, Changshi seemed to be oblivious to her words, looking at the glowing green orb in her hand. Master is right. We must take everyone and leave this place. Hanshi, who was standing beside her, was astonished by her response. This is a landmark of the 9-state region. Changshi nodded lightly, indicating her agreement. Chinchanan intentionally gave this to me during our spatial travel. This thing can save mortals. Since Chinchanan comes from the future, he must have anticipated these events. But Hanshi's attention was not focused on this. Her mind was filled with the weight of Changshi's words just now, emphasizing the term intentionally. Before she could argue with Changshi about my belonging, the dim night sky suddenly erupted with a dazzling light. Even the heavenly demon, who was immersed in slaughter, paused their actions. And within that golden radiance were the immortal beings who once protected the world. The previously hopeless people suddenly became excited and shouted with joy. They're divine beings. They're here to save us. They're riding on colorful auspicious clouds to save us. I believe in divine beings again. Please, kill the heavenly demons. Kill the mastermind behind them, Chinchanan. However, what awaited them was not redemption but despair. Kill! As that cold voice resounded, the immortal beings behind them burst forth with fierce killing intent and charged at the defenseless people. Tushur looked at the wailing figures on the screen and laughed maniacally. How ironic. After a while, I will transform and throw myself into the mortal realm to bring peace to the chaos. Never did I expect that Tushur would have such a day. Whether it's initiating slaughter or quelling chaos to save the dawn, it may sound contradictory, but the taste of controlling everything is truly delightful, and all of this is thanks to my master. Just then, Long Lu reminded him not to forget about that goddess, stating that although she is useless now, the divine artifact should not be left unattended. Tushur respectfully replied, I have already arranged for someone to track her whereabouts. I will personally pass judgment on her. Changshi, Chinchanan, since I can be resurrected, I will personally let you experience the taste of death. Just when Tushur thought his plan was about to succeed, the entire Shrine of the Gods suddenly erupted with a powerful tremor. Immediately after, eerie purple energy enveloped the entire place. Sensing this power, Long Lu's face showed a hint of surprise. The Shrine of the Gods is actually trembling. But soon, Long Lu noticed something amiss. It's not just the Shrine of the Gods shaking, it's the entire upper realm. The next moment, a massive explosion came from the front of the Shrine of the Gods. Witnessing this, Long Lu's expression turned to great shock. Someone has broken the seal of the upper realm. Tushur, standing beside him, was equally surprised, staring intently in the direction of the explosion. Even the giant bug was astonished by the tremors it emitted, gazing incredulously at this fragile planet before it. On the other side, from my elevated position, I looked down upon the so-called heavenly god. Seeing their panicked state, I couldn't help but chuckle. There are quite a few guys to slaughter, and what's even more crucial is that there are familiar faces among them. In the next moment, Demon Lord Tushur condensed a blue orb of light in his hand and swiftly flew towards me. I wish I could tear apart that stupid face of yours, Chinchanan. In an instant, Tushur appeared before me, gathering all his fury into his right hand and smashing it towards my face with the utmost power. The tremendous power even destroyed the shrine of the gods beneath me. The entire world paled in the face of this immense power, and I looked somewhat surprised at this individual whom I once casually toyed with. This is the fusion of heavenly demon and divine power. But even so, for me, it's only slightly more challenging. Tushur, seeing me being blasted away, felt ecstatic and launched a series of attacks at me without pause. Arrogant brat, are you scared? Does this power make you see the vast gap between us? The pain I endure will be returned to you 100-fold, 1,000-fold. When he continued his incessant verbal barrage, I reached out my hand and grabbed for his head. In an instant, the situation turned around. Tushur, who had just seemed like a demon descending to earth, was instantly suppressed by me, once again experiencing the might of my power. Memories of his previous death flooded Tushur's mind, but I had no intention of giving him even a moment of respite. A blinding light akin to a nuclear explosion condensed in my hand, and within a few seconds, Demon Lord Tushur endured over 100 blows. When the pressure building in me was about to be released, I suddenly reached out and tightened my grip around his throat, meeting his terrified gaze. Despair and fear filled Tushur's eyes as he asked, "Why?" I fused with the power of the gods. "Why is the outcome like this?" I didn't answer his question and asked him contemptuously, "You mentioned the vast gap between us, right?" With that, I grabbed his head and ruthlessly smashed it into the ground. Thus, Demon Lord Tushur perished once again. Heavenly Lord of Zealous Clarity, who had been watching the battle, recognized me as the heavenly demon from that day. He then realized, in fear, that his body was trembling uncontrollably and he couldn't move. Just then, applause suddenly rang in my ears. Long Lu, looking at me with disdain, started to laugh. "Putting aside the matter of you offending me, you indeed have the qualifications to become my servant. Submit to me, and I'll spare your life." Upon hearing his words, I felt like I heard the biggest joke. "You're the heavenly god? Do you provide food, shelter, internet, and even find partners for people?" Upon hearing my response, Long Lu squinted his eyes. "What are you saying? I don't understand." In response, I gave him the friendliest middle finger gesture I could muster. "I'm just like you, but unlike you. I find it disgusting to treat you like a dog." Even if he didn't understand the meaning of my finger gesture, Long Lu understood that I was mocking him. His expression became extremely ferocious. "I'll kill you." When the immortal cultivators descended to the mortal realm, they didn't follow the orders of the heavenly god and instead stood in front of the heavenly demon with murderous intent. The leading heavenly demon looked at their bloodthirsty appearance and sneered. "This is hilarious. Do you expect me to let them go?" Before the immortal cultivators could respond, sharp laughter came from behind. It was the demon holding a woman captive. "Lord Ashen Demon, we haven't had enough fun yet." Upon hearing this, Ashen Demon's eyes were filled with mockery. "The bodies and spiritual roots of human female cultivators are excellent supplements for us. They greatly contribute to our cultivation. Release them? Only you idiots with wooden heads would think of that." Jiang Ningran looked at the individual called Ashen Demon and felt a chill run down her spine. This was an immortal monarch realm heavenly demon. Were all of Tushur's subordinates of this level? However, Feng Qiun, who possessed a sense of justice, did not back down because of this. "I'll say it again. Release them." Lord Ashen Demon, listening to his cold voice, mocked him as if he heard a joke. "Is he impatient? In human terms, your face can be called hypocrisy." Afterwards, he took large strides toward Feng Qiun. "You immortals could have intervened earlier to stop us before the situation became so dire. Instead, you stood by and watched. You're waiting for us to destroy this world and then pretend to be righteous. Even if you want to be heroes, you'll have to beg us." Then, with disgust, he walked past them. "Don't forget, this game is hosted by the heavenly god. You and I are just pawns. Do your own part. If you want to stop us, ask the heavenly god if he agrees. If you have the ability, go kill him." At this moment, Feng Qian felt immense humiliation because he once again heard these words coming from the evil mouth of the heavenly demon. Killing the heavenly god, such an existence, how could anyone in the world possibly shake him? Just a word, a thought. What difference is there between sentient beings and ants? Indulging in unforgivable chaos, granting him supreme power to harm sentient beings. That is the God we have been worshipping all along. But what are we in his eyes? A obedient dog? Or insignificant ants not worth mentioning? Whether we are alive or dead, we have no dignity. At this moment, Feng Qian couldn't help but start fantasizing. "Oh heavens, if you have any sense, send someone to kill that god. whoever it may be. Then, the man who had always lived by the rule of obedience finally swung the fist of fate. I can't bear to watch this hell any longer. With Feng Qian's strike, nothing changed. It only severely injured the heavenly demon closest to him. Laughter echoed around him. What can you, a mere immortal king, change? But what he didn't expect was that the immortal cultivators around him all acted at this moment. Feng Qian, you idiot. If you get me killed, I won't spare you. Cover him. Even the person who had once been afraid of death now activated his powers. What an idiot. The opponent has a demon monarch. Despite their curses, without exception, they all made the right choice at this moment and joined the battle against the heavenly demon. Ashen Demon looked at the temporarily retaliating immortal cultivators in surprise. It seems that those weaklings have unexpectedly gained some backbone with the help of their comrades. A burst of red light erupted from Feng Qian's eyes. Your sins must be repaid with blood. After a brief moment of distraction, Ashen Demon regained his composure and threw a punch towards Feng Qian's face. You hypocritical kid. Can you do it? You will regret it. Until the cries between heaven and earth ceased, this battle between immortals and demons finally came to an end. One by one, the saved fallen girls ran up to them and sincerely expressed their gratitude before leaving the area. At this moment, Changxi and the others arrived at the place where the battle had erupted. Upon seeing Changxi, Feng Qian weakly shouted his name. I didn't expect to meet you again. Can Pure Virtue's plans still continue? If possible, can you take us along? This battle was a victory for the immortals. Changxi looked at the corpses of heavenly demons scattered all around and couldn't help but sigh. Did they kill all of these? Then, without hesitation, Changxi took out the marker that pointed to the 9-state continent. The marker to the 9-state continent is in my hands, but the ancient continent is sealed by the heavenly god. I haven't found a way to break the seal yet. Hearing this, despair filled Feng Qian's eyes. We have lost this last opportunity. If we had listened to the advice of the Pure Virtue God's envoy before the god became aware. But before they could continue speaking, a terrifying sound erupted from the once gloomy sky. That dazzling light instantly illuminated the darkened land. Changxi turned his head in disbelief and looked towards the source of the radiance. It was the shrine of the gods. Could it be him? Seeing the terrifying power, Heavenly Lord of Zealous Clarity's heart sank to the bottom. It's all over now. The god is truly furious. At this moment, Long Lu, with a cold expression, declared a sentence against me. Disrespecting divine beings is a capital offense. Everything on this planet belongs to me. As long as I will it, everyone's realm will be suppressed. In my territory, no one can stand before me. It is the innate talent of every god. We are born supreme and do not need cultivation. Since birth, it has been destined that we are superior to you inferior beings. Now, I will give you a chance to grovel at my feet like a dog and lick my toes, repenting for everything you just said. Heavenly Lord of Zealous Clarity beside me is shocked. Just one oracle is enough to render people powerless to resist. Realms fall like tides, but the power that brings despair to them has no effect on me. I only wear a mocking expression and continue to watch his performance. At this moment, the system prompts, detecting the Dominion Skill Oracle, realm suppression capable of suppressing the realm attributes of subjects within the jurisdiction. However, as the host is not a person from the ancient continent, the influence has been nullified. Oracle analysis in progress. Progress, 60%. Then, I laugh at the absurdity of Heavenly God, who resembles a clown. Long Lu also realizes that something is wrong and is filled with horror. Why wasn't he affected by the oracle? Just then, I hear the system announcing the completion of the analysis. I smile and look at the man sitting on the throne, issuing my first command to him in a cold tone. Kneel before me. The next moment, Long Lu, who was originally on the throne, suddenly falls from the chair. His nearly 1,000-pound obese body kneels in front of me with a loud thud, creating a tremendous sound. The current Long Lu no longer bears the appearance of a strategist, but rather an incredulous expression. It's impossible. How could he impose an oracle on me? The power disappears from his body, causing immense pain. On the other side, due to the disappearance of Long Lu's power within his body, the once impregnable barrier suddenly reveals the first crack. But I didn't let him off because of that. I walk slowly towards Long Lu. How come this heavenly god is kneeling on the ground like a dog? Long Lu looks at me and shouts, "You bastard." I don't understand why the oracle didn't work. I don't intend to answer his question. Instead, I gather a thread of lightning energy on my right fist. You think you're some precious thing just because you've been in the heavens for a long time? Heavenly Lord of Zealous Clarity, who is observing from a distance, is filled with fear. He can hardly believe what he is seeing. But before he has time to think, my fist smashes into Long Lu's face. With an extreme force, his fat face contorts. Immediately after, the shrine of the gods collapses with a loud rumble, turning into countless debris. At the same time, cracks appear all over the barrier, and even the gigantic insect guarding it becomes extremely panicked. The several black-robed figures witnessing this spectacle are also filled with shock because they know that the barrier should never shatter unless someone challenges the heavenly god. "I never thought I would live to see the day when the ceiling star barrier breaks," one of them says. Has the power of the gods become unable to sustain the barrier? In the mortal realm, a bright red vortex suddenly explodes in the sky, and at its center is the lofty heavenly god. The immortals also notice this and point to the sky in astonishment. That figure is Chang-Chi's attention is also drawn by the sound, and she looks up as well. They see their greatest nightmare, the heavenly god, now in a dying state. It's not until his obese body slams heavily onto the ground that everyone reacts from their shock. The heavenly god has actually been defeated. Then, in a panic, Chang-Chi looks up and shouts with a trembling voice, "Chinchanan?" Immediately, they realize that the barrier that was controlling them has disappeared. Just as they are still immersed in this sudden victory, dozens of purple souls appear in front of them, urgently warning them, "Do what you need to do quickly. The mighty heavenly demon will take care of heavenly god's matters." On the other side, the massive insect also senses the disappearance of its master's presence and bursts into a maniacal, high-pitched laughter. Just as it is about to destroy this world that made its master vanish, it suddenly senses a hint of danger. In an instant, a purple figure appears before it at a speed surpassing light. Feeling my presence, the once restless giant insect becomes considerably quieter.